Welcome to the Detailer's Dock, anchoring you in the world of marine detailing. Whether you're a seasoned detailer or just starting out, this is where every detail matters, with your host, Captain Ken Mercer from Marine Detail Supply Company.
Hey y'all, Captain Ken here with the next episode of the Detailer's Dock. And who I have with me is what I like to call the silent assassin of the marine industry, Mr. Drew Lawrence. And I kind of want to emphasize a little bit on the silent assassin part. This guy here is one of the top tier elites that are in the industry, but a lot of you don't know of him or about him just because he's not out there on social media as of yet, right? I think, Drew, you would say that is something that you lack, but a lot of it has to do with, I think, of how busy you are as a marine detailer in the industry. Furthermore, those who are in the know in the marine detailing space surely know who you are and the results that you have been able to deliver in just the short term. But enough about me speaking about you. I kind of want you to let the world finally know about Drew, the silent assassin Lawrence. If you wouldn't mind sharing, man.
Yeah, man, you're too kind, kid. Yeah. So yeah, social media is, that's my weakness. It's not a secret. My wife's on me about it. Colleagues are on me about it. You're on me about it. Maybe it's going to be my New Year's resolution. Let's see. But, yeah, I got to get better with that. Up. I know. I got to get ready. But yeah, so I run Next LVL Boatworks in Ormond Beach, Florida, up in Volusia County. We service Central Florida, a lot of Northeast Florida, run a shop indoors, 3,000 square feet, have big storage lot out there. So we can hold a lot of boats and manage a lot of projects at the same time, which really helps business stay busy. Mm-hmm. Along with, in the same plaza, we have Customer in Volusia, who does a lot of custom boat works as far as, refits and repowers. He's a Mercury Marine Tech and certified repower center and all that stuff. And then we have Fish's Fiberglass in the back that, owned by Danny Dillon, and Danny and I, we're all the time bouncing work off each other. So it's whether it's business that I'm bringing in or they're bringing in, right. A lot of times we're all three on the same boat, getting it out so the customer can really drop it off in a one-stop shop, not have to make appointments with 5 different people and get on everybody's schedule, because that makes it a pain to get your stuff worked on.
Yeah, for sure. So you weren't always a detailer.
Well, sir.
Right?
No, sir.
Would you mind talking about your education prior to stepping into the realm of marine detailing?
Absolutely. So grew up in Hurricane, West Virginia. My mom was a school teacher, my dad's a state trooper, and education was pushed pretty hard. There's an emphasis on being educated, which graduated from, undergrad and pursued a doctorate degree in chiropractic, which is actually what brought me to Florida. And I went to Palmer here in Port Orange, Florida. Graduated right in the middle of COVID, so it wasn't exactly the best timing. And at the time, in all transparency, struggling with board exams a little bit and stuff like that, and they were delayed, and it was a whole mess of things. But those are just, thing of the past for me right now. It's just what it led me to is I went and got a job at Boston Whaler, and that's how, just to bring, we all have bills, and that's how it started. It started at Whaler, and then
what were you doing for Whaler?
It's in production, assembly, and on the assembly line, nothing really. So really, I did buff it's crazy. We got to get into Whaler, Ken. But yeah.
Let's get after it. Let's
do it, man. So at Whaler, we had the air buffers, stuff like that. And, but it's, that got me the introduction into boats. And then David with Customer in Volusia, I actually worked with him for 4 years, I think, almost. And I learned the custom work that he does and at the high level that he does it. That's really what gave me the passion for boats. And, really the detailing side of it, I saw the niche in this as far as like the one-stop shop theme that we really wanted to go after.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's paid off as far as that's concerned. But so, yeah, I'm a chiropractor that makes boat shines, man. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
So do you have like a little chiropractic table over in the back corner of your shop, just in case your customer needs to be realigned after you hit him with that big price tag for a ceramic coating?
No, I don't, man. Maybe it's next endeavor right there or something, right?
It could be just like added Starbucks to Target, right? Is that what you're saying?
It could be. You never know.
So from there, like you said, so you worked at Whaler, right?
Sure.
And is that where you essentially picked up, the rotary for the first time? Was there, or
It was. It wasn't the first time I'd ever, got into detailing or anything like that, but it was the first time that I was like, hey, something I kind of enjoy. And, I hate to say this, but more or less at the time, it was part of the job there that, left you going home at night where you weren't itching trying to scrub your skin off from itching so bad. So it was
the fiberglass dust.
Yeah, it was brutal. But, once you're used to it, you're used to it. But it's, I enjoyed it and, kind of built from that sense.
Okay. So where did you really, start to enter full time, or really, where was the first window that you went through where, what, I'm going to marine detail, or, was there somebody that pushed you to do it? Was it something that you just, hey, you saw an opportunity and ran with it? I'd really like to know how that came about.
So I'm sure everybody knows Cole Holbrook. I mean, he's no secret. He's no silent assassin out there. The man's just putting out great work every week, and I have a lot of respect for his work and what he does. And I know the depths in what he goes through.
He'll be on here soon too. Trust me.
Can't wait. But I know the depths that he goes through, and then plus his social media presence, man, it's 2 full-time jobs in one right there. But, so I had been doing work, and I think in this industry, it's important to have people to lean on and to call and be like, hey, I got this happening. I got this question. Have you seen this before? And that goes a long way. And so I think I messaged Cole on Instagram. I said, hey, man, I know you through, you being at the shop, coming up here to detail boats when I was working for Dave. I said, I got a few questions, if you don't mind answering them for me. And I forget the context or how it happened, but he's like, what's your number? And he called me right away. And since that day, Cole has never held back with me, man. If I call him and say, hey, I've got this going on, he's got an answer for me. And whether, we work through something, together, or he's, hey, try this, this, and this, or you need to figure this out on your own so you learn it. I mean, it's our relationship's been great. And, I think that the full turning circle, coming full turn on that was, the first time Cole called me and said, hey, have you seen this? And so for me, that's just a compliment to Cole. I mean, I would say, man, I'm a product of him if he would allow me to use that, but it's what he's done for me is exceptional.
Yeah. And I think there's many out there that could speak the same. And I myself too, there's a lot of the education that I'm able to deliver for those of you out there listening, those of you watching, the ones that, call us here at the headquarters looking for advice. Some of that knowledge, or a lot of that knowledge too, has been passed down from Cole to me to be able to share with them. And not just on Cole, our network as a whole too is essentially, a group of guys and gals such as yourself too, because I've leaned on you for questions, you've leaned on me for questions. And there's a lot of other individuals that eventually, hopefully I'm able to get on this podcast to, speak, in those same terms of that we are all out here to really grow the industry and help each other. I think that's really what separates, and not for nothing against the automotive guys and gals out there, because they do some fantastic stuff and they work together too. But for me, I honestly feel that the marine detailers out there are kind of at a tighter group, just because I think a lot of it'll boil down to, and I think you'd agree, like boats are a lot bigger than cars. And some of these jobs that are out there, essentially, let's, say for instance, Cole's out there on sport fish right now, like he can't do that job by himself.
Absolutely.
It's impossible, right? And then when you're dealing with big clients like that, and these tickets or, job costs are $40, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 to corrections and ceramic coatings, you can't afford to have mid-level or low-level help, right? You need guys and gals that are up there to your level, or if not a higher level than you. That way you deliver exceptional results and your customer essentially gets what they're paid for. So
Absolutely.
For me, I think that's the reason why I feel the marine industry as detailers as a whole are a little tighter niche, because we all do really need to rely on each other more than just being individuals. And not to say that the automotive space doesn't have that, because they do. I personally feel, I think the marine space has more, and that's why. because we really need to work together to essentially get those jobs done and done right. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree completely. And, you know, man, it's a quality I think it's a general consensus too, that, we want to bring the top level finished product to a customer that really where we're all sitting around and be like, okay, the price is justified. They can see the efforts that we went through to make this boat look this way, and for those results to last. And I think that's huge. And so, if Cole and I live, we raise families 5 minutes from each other, which is crazy.
And you're lucky.
But yeah, but you know what I mean? So Cole and I neither of us see each other as competition, because at the end of the day, we both are running businesses where we're fine by ourselves, but we're really assets to each other, because if a big boat in our area comes up or a big project, man, I can call Cole and have Cole on my team working for a week. I can't get any more lucky than that.
Yeah, no. So, obviously there's a lot of really positives that we can say about him and the other individuals throughout the network. And
Absolutely.
We appreciate all of you out there, all of you listening. We appreciate all of you that are trying to grow the industry a whole and not be what we like to call gatekeepers. We're anti-gatekeepers out here. That's just not who we are. It's funny. Like, I had the pleasure of having Frankie Marion on the last podcast, and he literally, mentioned out here that, hey, reach out to me if you guys have questions. And people did. He reached out to me right away and said, people were listening. They reached out, they were asking questions, and, I truly enjoyed doing that. And again, like that's who we kind of want to surround ourselves with, is like-minded individuals that are out there to try to help people. So, with that, let's really talk more into your business, and then we'll get into some nitty-gritty kind of stuff. So when did you, or what made you decide that, the right move was to get a roof over your head versus a lot of us that are out there that unfortunately have to deal with this South Florida or Florida sun and get cooked even here in December right now, as we are at times gets extremely hot. So if you wouldn't mind, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, really that came down to, I think it was a conversation, I had with, David Malmuth, Customer Evolution, back in like when ground zero, when we started this thing. And the product that I could consistently put out inside was much better than, something I could do outside, as far as being mobile or doing it outside in the parking lot or whatever that might be. And if you have to do that, it's part of it. But I felt like I was more consistent. I could provide more because weather doesn't affect me, as far as timelines and sticking to my timelines. And a lot of my customers, I would say my customer base, they're excellent. They've supported me through the whole thing, but when they drop off their boat, they typically need it. And there's a set date. And if you're outside and there's bad weather, today, we've been on a 51 Bertram all week. And today we're back at the shop because we have this front pushing through that. We're not working outside.
Okay. So the 51 footer is not in your shop, right?
Oh, no.
Okay. Yeah. That would be some big doors, man.
Yeah. That would be a pretty sweet setup. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. So we're back at the shop today, and we'll be back at the Bertram tomorrow. Hopefully this weather clears up, but that's, you just do the best you can do, and I felt like having the space inside was what really, it sets what we do aside a little bit, as far as that sets us apart from, being mobile, doing it in people's driveways and stuff like that. And it's a nice setup, man. It's nice being the one-stop shop to have everybody here too, because most of these boats that come here, it's not just the detail work. Hey, they need a motor service. They have, with Danny back there in fiberglass, the amount of money these guys are spending on these boats, if we see these cracks or, whatever it might be, and fiberglass can fix those and spray them. And then we hand a product back that's actually 100% because we've sprayed certain areas to get everything out. That's where I'd like to see the industry go. So, I definitely, detailers that are out there working that aren't working with a fiberglass guy, I highly recommend getting with one, because the product that you can truly produce is, you can go for perfection.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned the way you'd like to see the industry go. So what would you say the industry is doing right, and what would you say the industry is doing wrong at the moment?
So the industry is growing. Obviously, everybody knows that. Everybody sees that. Man, I hate to be critical, but I just want to see everybody take more pride in what we do. We're out here, and I'm not the only one charging, people a certain price. And, there's 500 detailers in my area as far as in the county or surrounding counties. And, really it's not competition. It's not from a competition standpoint. It's just that I want to see the quality be good from everybody. And in today's world, I really don't think it's hard to do with the products you guys are giving us. It's really just, time on a machine and figuring out what you're looking at, and, use your lights and use your head to really make sound decisions.
Use lights? You mean you should use lights?
And I hope we're not still talking about that. Yeah. You got to be using lights. In today's world, with charging what we're charging, you got to have the lights out.
So what kind of lights do you prefer using generally?
Man, so I have a bunch of different ones. I'm really not picky, to be honest with you. I'm not picky on them. And I'll tell you the ones that I've been going to lately that have been really good for me are off the Snap-on truck. So he's got like a vacuum suction mount one, and then he's got a magnetic one.
Man,
dude,
you must have a lot of money if you're shopping off a Snap-on truck, man.
No, it's
those of us out here on Harbor Freight budgets, man, we ain't big time like the assassin out there.
But no, it's not that, man. It's just, I feel like I owe that to the customer. If I can have a product.
Does he lure you in with candy to get inside the truck?
No, he just comes in the shop and says, "Hey, I need you on the truck." I'm just sitting there. He's a good guy, but he actually brought him to me because he saw the light setups that we have on the walls and, our overhead lights. He said, "I think this would benefit you in like tight spots and, certain areas." And man, he was right. And so they're super compact, but we can get a good picture of what we're looking at.
And what are you looking at generally in those lights? So if you're using that light, what are you really using that light for, right? So what's the main focus for it? Because, a lot of people out there are just looking for a shine, right? But obviously you you set yourself to be at a different level, a different tier. So you're more than just a shine, right?
Yeah. So, you're trying to pull out every imperfection that you can. And that's what the lights allow you to identify that. So, really it's a cheat code. You can see, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier as far as time on a polisher and stuff like that. You can really tell over time what you're looking at under a light. Like, hey, I know this pad and this compound is going to fix that. Or, sometimes it doesn't. Every boat's different. But that gives you like the knowledge to be like, hey, yes, we spend a crazy amount of money on lights, but at the end of the day, it saves us time, produces a better finished product. I don't think we're wasting money on lights.
No, but would you ever say that they could be the death of you sometimes too? And what I mean by that is like, we'll have training classes, right? And I think everybody out there at least is familiar with gel coat, knows that it's not base coat, clear coat. You're never going to get the clarity that you get from paint on gel coat, right? So, sometimes I think they could be the death of us too, because like we'll sit there and we'll do one of the training courses, and these boats look mint, but we're dealing with like these, like I love the Flex light, man. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. It's a great light.
That and that scan grip light. I think they're kind of hand in hand with each other. I think those are the tough to beat. So for those of you listening out there, if you want my recommendation, I'm going to tell you, not the Snap-on truck. I'm not rich like, the silent assassin over there, but I would tell you that Flex light, man, is just so tough to beat. But where I was going with that is like, we'll sit there and we'll be overcritical, which I love, right? I love everyone out there to really challenge yourself. Say that, obviously if you're a good detailer, you're always going to see more than what your customer's going to see, but you take that boat and you put it outside. Oh, boy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's no other feeling like that.
And, back to that, like, I think it's a misconception too, the videos. This is kind of my issue with social media. You see all the good on social media. You see the Sunball Sundays. I love it, man. I do. I really do. But at the same
I'm waiting
time,
for you to participate.
Maybe next year. But the thing about that is like, there's very few boats out there that truly leave with a perfect finish everywhere on the boat. So you're seeing the best of the best. So don't let the lights beat you up.
Yeah.
You're using the lights to produce the best product you can on that boat. And,
Right.
A good quote that I hear a lot, in our shop is, you're limited by factory design. You didn't spray that gel coat. You didn't prep it. You didn't finish it. You don't know what that boat's really been through. It might not be possible to make it absolutely perfect in every single area.
And it's funny you say that. Frankie literally touched the base on that during our podcast where he was talking about, the porosity and the haziness and stuff like that. He's like, that's due on them during the production time. And it's nothing you as a detail really can correct. You can just, try to make it look as best as you can in that instance. But no, you're absolutely right, man. Absolutely right.
I mean, use them as a tool. At the end of the day, it's not it is a judgment thing, but it's to produce the best product. It's not really for us to judge each other. It's just, that helps us get the best products out there.
So speaking of that, I'm going to give you a this or that. DeWalt or Makita?
Makita.
Okay. Rupes or Flex?
Man, I don't know. They're integral parts of our business.
If you had to pick one or the other,
I'm going Rupes.
Okay. I like it. It. So I think no matter, last one, long throw or fourth rotation?
I'm going long throw.
My man.
So I was a big force guy. It comes back to Cole and I's initial conversations.
Yep.
I was a huge, the Flex Beast, man. That place should have a spot in every detailer's cabinet.
Agreed.
There's a time and a place, and I think there's always a place and time for, long throw. The as far as the Beast coming out, every boat doesn't need it. And I'm on a kick lately though with it. So I've had some success with it lately.
Have you messed with the new Better Beast, the 24-volt one?
I have not. No, sir.
Man, she's an animal. She's an animal. Okay. Like me personally, I think where the force rotation really shines is, like more of that edge work on the, the gunnel caps and such like that, where, that kind of longer throw, that's a little bit more difficult to get at least the result that you're looking for. I think it kind of makes you feel a little bit more masculine running a force rotation too, but
absolutely.
I mean, at the end of the day, it will exert a little bit more of your body's energy to get the job done too, versus that long throw polisher. So, but I agree with you. I think if you're a marine detailer out there and you don't have both of those in your arsenal along with a rotary, you're really missing.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
you got. Absolutely, you got to have it, and this comes back to, us talking about, doing the quality jobs and all that stuff. You owe that to your customers to have the best tools possible to do their job. That's not on the customer. That's on you if you're going to charge this price and produce this product, that's what it takes. And that's part of the industry needs to do better there. We have to do better as a whole, is to do our job rather than, hey, this is the best job or this is the best tool I have for the job. It shouldn't be like that if they're charging the prices.
So elaborate on that a little bit more.
It's quality control. It's really what it comes down to. And, Stark's doing a great job of growing the industry and producing products that even guys who are just taking care of their own boats, they're user friendly, right? But for, the guys out there that are killing it every day, you're handing weapons that we can do crazy stuff with these boats because of the products we're using,
Mm-hmm.
But you can't, I still think at the end of the day, like I said, you don't have guys in other fields doing, crazy jobs and, high profile jobs. And they're using, this is the best tool you go in for surgery. This is the best tool for your surgery today, but we don't have it. So we're just going to use the best that we have. Mm-hmm. You're going to be like, no, man, I'm gone. Like I'll get it done somewhere else or whatever. So it's like that, I feel like I owe that to my customers. So that's what I try to do. I try to stay up with, what's the best technology. Haven't played with the new Flex tools. I know we've talked about them a few times. I need to dabble in that and see if that's, something that we want to take our business down and go that route.
I would tell you that, you got about 2/3 of the month left to get that lifetime warranty on that 24-volt system, man.
It's a pretty good deal.
Man, that just speaks volumes on, how confident they are behind that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Which is crazy.
Yep.
So if you had to run with 5 pads for the rest of your marine life, right? 5 pads. What pads are you choosing?
So I'm definitely, I mean, obviously, you got to go white wool. I'd have to go yellow wool,
Mm-hmm.
purple hybrid pad.
Yeah.
Then, man, so I like the new money pad a lot. I use the Rupes yellow wool pad, but that new money pad I think is going to replace that for me. So the new money pad, if you guys haven't, when that comes, to market,
It's on the way, buddy.
That's going to be the go-to. I think. Tested the ones you sent, and they were great.
Yeah.
And
so
then
what would you say was the difference between the two before you answer the final one? Where did you see the real difference between the two?
I mean, I think your Stark pad it was tougher. I mean, these, the Rupes pads, they do pretty good. And I think
they do.
The old money pad, it didn't last up to the Rupes pad in my opinion, but the new one I think I used it for longer on the boat. It held up, produced great results, a little bit stiffer, which I like.
Yeah, that foam interface is a lot stiffer on it.
Yeah, it helped a lot. So I think that would be, that's my spiel on that. I think that's going to be a no-brainer for a lot of guys.
Yeah. So then, we should hope. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Fifth pad, I would do something, something really light, maybe a black force or something like that for those painted boats, man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my pad lineup, if somebody asked me that same question, would be the same as yours, except I would swap out the black foam for orange Lake Country. That would be my move on that one. For me on the, like the clear coat or like the darker colored gel coats where, I find myself getting a little bit of micro marring from like the money pad. And in some instances, that's the only way I can ever find a way to really gem it out is that orange
Absolutely.
foam.
Absolutely.
But if you ask me my 6th pad, it'd have to be an all black buff and shine microfiber pad for Hyperhold Pro or any type of sealant that you guys are out there. So, but
yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny that, essentially your pad lineup is very similar to mine. And I think a lot of those other individuals that are out there really would probably agree with.
Absolutely.
But I'd be interested in to hear what other people's, pad lineups would be too. So, they have an opportunity to put it down in the comments below. Like I'd love their feedback on that too, because maybe there's something out there, Drew, that we just don't know about, bro.
Hey, and that's where the network comes in,
It does. The funny thing is like the table that's right behind you and none of y'all can see, I probably have 10 or 12 pads that nobody's ever seen before or even thought of. And I'm going to get to kind of play with these new type of products out there. So shout out to my boy Scott that sent these to me. I'm excited to play with those. Yeah. But so let's air it out, man. What's the industry doing wrong the most? I know you have a very strong opinion about a lot of things that are out there. I think a lot of the points that you and I have discussed in the past are very valid. Let's let the world hear it from the silent assassin. Since you ain't out there to be vocal, here's your time to really air it out, right?
Yeah.
And see if people share the same opinion as you.
Yeah, so it's something that I've shared with you. I've shared with Cole. I've shared with John.
Mm-hmm.
So what you guys are doing with the Start class, man, it's great. It really is. I mean, what you're bringing these guys in, you're teaching them how to use your products. That's excellent. That's what companies should do. I think what detailers are doing wrong there is they're using that as, hey, here's my credentials after that. I'm certified. I can charge whatever foot I want. I can do this. I can do that. And man, that's not the case in my opinion. You need to spend some time. You got to spend some time on boats. You got to spend some time on a machine and use the knowledge the Start class gave you with your experience. And you're going to certify yourself as far as being able to have the confidence to step into any job and get the task done. So, and that comes down to, before I was Stark certified, it was, hey, I'm Stark certified. I'm going to take the lead on this. And to me, it gave me a bad taste in my mouth about that. But it doesn't define, who you are as a detailer. It doesn't define who I am as a detailer. It just says, hey, we've been to this course. They showed us how to do this stuff. Now, what you produce after that, that's on you, So I think that's Stark doing their due diligence. It's time for the detailers to really not use
well, not only that, they need to live up to that certification as well. Like
the standard,
there's a standard that, we set. And I would say that, I myself, and especially, John, is like a very, very proud about what we have built. And like for those Stark certified guys and gals, because we have a lot of females in our network too that are ultimately fantastic. We just want to make sure that after they're through that, they're held to that standard, right? And continue to grow the network. And kind of like what we spoke about earlier in the podcast, is literally we ain't gatekeeping here. We're working together. We're trying to innovate the industry as a whole. So that's really what we're looking for. And I would really encourage anybody out there that's really trying to level up at least your marine game is, sign up for one of those classes if you haven't. There's a lot that you can learn. I mean, I had a great student, Victor, from Miami Marine Management, who literally was doing this type of work for more than 10 years, 15 years. And he literally went on record afterwards and said he felt like he knew nothing before, now after going through the class. So there's a lot of benefits to it. And a lot of it falls back on, the inspiration that you got, right? So obviously, our lead trainer, Paul Holbrook, as well as, myself, I'm in there generally their assistant and too. So, for the ones that are out there that are really trying to get into that marine space and kind of cut that learning curve rather quickly,
absolutely,
we can help you. But, from there, you all have to listen to what Drew's having to say. Is like, once that standard is there, you literally have to deliver. So shifting gears a little bit, what was the biggest boat that you've ever done so far?
This 51 Bertram is the biggest one we've done. I'm not a big sport fish guy. Initially when I got the call on it, I wouldn't say the sport fish industry isn't in our area. It definitely is, but it's not to the extent of, South Florida and over by you guys and stuff like that. But,
not by me,
I got the call on it. And
East Coast got all that big boat, man, not me.
But yeah. Oh yeah. It's crazy. I see Cole down there on the different boats all the time. I'm like, dear Lord, man, it's crazy. But, it's not a big market as far as the market can grow here in big boat world in our area. It's not tapped into like it is down south. And so with that, this Bertram's definitely the biggest one that I've been on. It's actually our first sport fish adventure. We're basically all on center consoles and stuff like that. So this is new to us and it's going well. I mean, I've been pleased with it, and I've definitely called Cole a few times, called you yesterday twice, and it's something different.
So what would you say is the biggest challenge of making that jump? From, you would probably say on average the vessels you're messing with are what, 30 footers, 20 footer, 25 footers?
I would say 30 foot's a median. Yeah.
Okay.
We're sitting on a 39 contender right now. I've got a 16-foot Key West right there, and another 16-foot Key West. I've got a it varies, and I would say the bigger boats are coming in right now, kind of not being used as much around the holidays and getting ready for Wahoo up here. So we'll see some of the bigger boats this time of the year, but it's all around. I'd say 30 foot's a general, upper 20s, lower 30s, and not occasionally, but we have the 40 footers come in.
Right. So what would you say is the biggest learning curve or change, going from that average median to now that 51 footer?
So I'll be honest, we started on Monday, Friday night, I didn't sleep. Saturday night, I didn't sleep. Sunday night, I didn't sleep. And it wasn't because we weren't prepared. I mean, I knew we were prepared. I didn't know. So, you get on a paint boat and it's a big boat. It's a lot of surface, but really, I got to the boat first. I beat everyone there because I had to. I had in my mind, I had to make sure, I wasn't setting everybody up for, failure. So I got there, did a couple of test spots, and I was like, I called one of my buddies that's helping me on the boat. I said, we got this. Like this, I got the process. I know it's going to work. We're going to be good. And so really it's just, it's taking that boat and making it into smaller boats. You tackle one project at a time on it and compartmentalize and go from there.
Are you generally topside starting or hull side first? Or,
So we're topside starting on this one.
or do you, or something, make
how
you
the
go
schedule
one
laid
way
out.
or another?
Sorry, you broke up there for a second. I didn't hear what you said at the end.
No. My apologies. The connection here isn't the best. So I was just asking, like, obviously, are you a topside, guy starting or hull side first, or is there a deciding factor that makes you choose which route you go first?
Yes. I love to do the top. I love to do the top side first because I hate doing hard top. And so I do that first on every boat. I got to get it out of the way.
Yeah. So tell me why aren't you a fan of the hard top? Let's hear it.
Man, it's tough. It's tough to produce a consistent product and that's good and, working above your head and the tools it takes. And it's hard work. It's hard work to make it right. And so it's not just, holding a buffer in front of you, you're holding it above your head all day and then you're polishing and, I think to me, that's the toughest part of making a boat look really good is the underside of that hard top because it shows, especially when the boat's on the trailer all the time, you can't get away with anything.
Yeah. I think, sometimes that's overlooked as detailers is the underside of the hard top and then, the console too. I tell a lot of individuals that reach out to me is like, if you're going to spend any extra time on a boat, it needs to be spent there. And the reason for that, that's where the boat operator spends their most time, right? So they're going to have more time paying attention to, that imperfection that was left there or that spot that you missed or, whatever that may be. So that's just my prerogative. I think, us as detailers really, if, we're going to spend a little extra time gemming an area out, we need to take a little extra focus there too.
I agree. But I'd say if it doesn't have a hard top, I'm going after the hull first every day.
Yeah,
I love hull work, man. I love smoking that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So gel coat or paint though?
Man, I would say I don't have a preference, being honest with you. I really don't. What I like about gel coat is being able to be really aggressive if I have to be. And, knowing that I got Danny back there if I need him and stuff like that. And, that comes down to, a standard that I have in my head that I want to produce to my customers. And sometimes, we have to be fairly aggressive and you get into that world where, like we've talked about earlier, that you didn't spray that gel coat 10 years ago. You didn't spray it 2 years ago. You really don't know how thick it is. You know how thick it should be.
Yeah.
And you also don't know who came before you. You don't know who detailed it before you, whether it was, sanded crazy multiple times or not. And you can get into some areas where, you got to respray it. And I let that fall on me. That's just me being aggressive, trying to produce the standard. But, Danny and I work it out to where, he resprays it and we make the boat look brand new.
So, is your process different when you attack paint? So you said you could be more aggressive, but are you changing pads, techniques, machines, polishes, paint versus gel coat? Or, is it similar with a slight tweak or is it just totally different?
No, it's not totally different for me. It's very similar. Compound wise, it's really similar too. I more or less adjust my pads question.
Okay.
But, it's different, getting on a 39 contender like this, where, the top side's gel coat, but the whole side's Emron. So you have to, it's being diversified because you don't know when this boat's going to come. This owner could call you tomorrow and be like, hey, I want my boat done. Well, if you're not comfortable with paint, then what are you going to tell them on the, you gotta be prepared for both. So I don't really think, preference wise, but as far as process, it is very similar. I don't think you need to have, hey, here's my paint lineup, here's my gel coat lineup. I don't think it's like that.
So would you say those top 5 pads that you had earlier would be the same for paint over gel coat, or
I can make it happen? Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah.
I like
it happen.
I definitely like it. And Emron too. This for me, I think that's some of the best marine paint that's out there, dude.
Man, I'm telling you, you're painting your boat or that's something, you do repaints and all that stuff. Emron is where it's at. Nasty stuff. I know it's horrible for you, wear your respirators and stuff like that. But
yeah,
Emron is it's the best paint that I've dealt with.
Okay. Since you've been out in the space, have you ever played with polyglow or been faced with a boat with polyglow on?
Yes, actually
I'd
happened
love to hear this story.
last winter. It was a 2004 Edgewater, and probably one of the best customers I have called me and said, "Hey, my neighbor has a boat, hasn't been detailed in years. He wants to get it looking good." Sure, I said, I'll come by and look at it. And I knew from like first glance, I was like, this doesn't look good. And so we brought it into the shop and started working on it.
Could you tell right away, or no?
I couldn't because I hadn't seen it before. You know what I mean? I didn't really know. And so we bring the boat in the shop, start working on it, and I actually called Cole and I said, "Hey, I think I have a polyglow boat. How do I know for sure?" And, we walked through it together, and he's like, "Dude, that's a polyglow boat." I'm like,
well, that's
not good.
Let's educate. So what did you have to go through to figure out that it was a polyglow boat?
So
because
it was
obviously it wasn't it didn't stand out to you right away.
No, but it's probably because how the shape of the boat was super oxidized. I mean, it was matte colored gel coat is what I call it,
Clapped out.
It had not been touched, and it sits on a lift 24/7, 365. So it comes out once a year for engine services. So it had been neglected. So it was hard for me to really like get into it and know. But man, I sent Cole a picture, and it was like I was peeling off like a clear or something on it. It was just that stuff
like flaky, kind of like flaky or something.
Yeah.
Or you could, there's a defined area that you could tell that was essentially there, right?
It was on the top cap where I could really see that and visualize it, tell him what I was seeing. He was like, "That's polyglow."
Okay. And then take me from there, obviously. What was your process? So everybody has their way.
Yeah. So I actually didn't use the polyglow stripper. I'm pretty sure it was acetone. So it was a ton of acetone is what we used. And that came from, the fiberglass guys out back. They said acetone will take that off. So we taped a lot just to be careful. A lot of gloves, a lot of, wearing masks, stuff like that, just for safety because we were doing it inside. But it took a while to strip that stuff off. But I will tell you,
a Brillo pad or something like that to remove it after you spraying it on?
So yeah, we were spraying it on, and we were going through bottles like crazy. He's obviously eating these bottles, but we were spraying it on. We actually used microfibers, and you could like buff it off. And it took a long time. There probably are better processes out there, but that's how we did it. And we didn't sacrifice any, as far as the finish of the boat elsewhere on the metal or something like that. We didn't sacrifice any of the cushions, stripping it down with a chemical that, you just spray on and have to like wash off or whatever. We were very, we took our time, protected the boat, and got it off that way.
What would you say, like time-wise, it costed you or took you, to get, and how big was the boat? I don't know if I caught that. I'm sorry.
I think it's either 26 or 28. Twin engine boat, twin engine, center console from Edgewater. But yeah, it was, I want to say it was I'd say it probably took us 2.5 days, maybe 3 days.
Wow.
And I was overly, it probably really didn't take that, but I was overly cautious in what we did just because
it's first time kind of facing it.
Yeah. And that's the part where you're like, hey, you have the confidence, you can fix it, but let's take a little bit of time here and make sure we do this the right way just to produce that final product. That's the standard. You know what I mean? That's what we keep coming back to.
Yeah. And what do you normally charge a customer extra, or, because that's not necessarily like a step that we're all used to, right? So there's, is that a job that you unfortunately lost your ass on, or is that one that,
so
talk to me about that?
I didn't raise his price what I should have. And I called him right away when I knew we had the conversation on the dock, and I said, "Hey, I think that's polyglow." When he brought it up here and I confirmed it was, I was like, I called him. I said, "Hey, I don't know what your price is going to go up yet, but there's going to be a little bit of an increase. And if you work with me, I'm going to work with you because I don't really know what we're getting into." And he was super good about it. I think if I remember correctly, I just charged him for what the materials that we used.
No, you're such a nice guy.
Well, it was, man, I learned next time I face it, I learned, I got more from him than he got from me in that job, to be honest. That's how it worked out.
Yeah. So what would you say you would potentially charge your customer range wise now if you were faced with that same boat and saw, at least for the polyglow removal step?
Man, I don't know. I would probably, it's really, I think in that situation, anytime there's a price adjustment, get on the phone, call the customer, Let's talk about where we're at. This is what we're going to charge to do what we're going to do. But I don't know the added extra time. And to me, they made a mistake, right? And if I can help that mistake as far as fix it and then retain them as a customer, next year I'm going to make money on them too. The following year I'm going to make money on them too. I'm not trying to just absolutely knock their head off. First year I meet these people to do this. And so if I lose a little bit on that, we don't make as much money this week. It is what it is, in my opinion. But if that's how I would want to be treated as a customer. Nobody wants to they know they made a mistake. They know now they made a mistake. Nobody wants to get their head knocked off twice. So, help those guys out a little bit if you can. Obviously don't do anything for free, but I mean, I would probably call them and say, hey, this is where I think we were going to be hour-wise on what we agreed on price-wise. Let's see where we are at the end. I'll work with you. You work with me. Let's figure it out. And, I would base it on added time. How much more labor did you really put into it?
Yeah, but I mean, in your case, it was 2.5 days. But outside looking in now, you could probably get, with the education that you have, how much more time or less time do you think it would have taken you now? So say you're facing the same boat and you already know that process.
We're knocking it out. We're knocking it out in a day. I mean, we're knocking it out. And it's really, I mean, you think about that and you're 2 guys in a day. I mean, that's doable to do a really good job and make sure it's all off there. That's doable.
So you have employees too, correct, that work with you?
Yes, sir. I have one right now.
Yeah, you have one right now.
Yep.
What would you say is the hardest thing about finding good help, or how would you go about for those detailers that are out there that are listening, that as like it's going to come to a point, if you want to grow your business, you're going to have help with it. How would you suggest them to go to potentially find employees or find help, something like that?
I've been lucky. I had an employee with me for almost 3 years, and he went, career-wise elsewhere. He went to be a lineman. So, I mean, his name was Kyle, and Kyle, I mean, so I think with Kyle and, Mike that works with me now, they both shared the passion. They share the passion for doing good work and taking the job seriously. A lot of people, I've had other employees that, they didn't work out, and it's not because they don't work hard. It's not that. It's just they don't have the passion to make it look and do the extra things that they know they should do when it's, 3:00 on a Friday and they want to go home for the weekend. Mm-hmm. It's not, it's having that passion it's really passion in yourself. Because I mean, we've all been employees, right? We all have been.
100%.
We've all been in that situation. Not everybody's been a business owner, so they don't see it from our side most of the time. If you can relate to them on that, I think that helps in the long run. So like back when Kyle worked for me, Kyle and I were on the same page every day. I could not call, let's say I was, I got 2 little girls, got a family. So, things come up, kids get sick, all that stuff. I could have been late to work, one morning, and I show up and Kyle's done exactly what I thought he should have been doing. And we did that every day for 2.5 or 3 years. You know what I mean? It really,
that had to be a good feeling.
I mean, it's just being on the same page. And, Mike is, a new hire for me. He's adjusted really well. He's understanding what we do. And it's the same thing there. But it's hard. They both found me. So I was lucky. The ones that I've tried to find, they haven't worked out for me. So I don't really have any advice there. Honestly, it's all luck. I mean, you try to groom the ones that you get to understand it. If they understand it, pay them well, hang on to them.
Yeah. So were these individuals, both of them that you spoke upon, did they already have prior experience, or is this something that you had to kind of, coach and train, on the job training?
Yeah. So Kyle was not, Kyle had his own detailing business. He's actually a high school kid. He comes from a hardworking family. His dad and mom both work really hard, and you could tell he was raised right. And I say that kind of laughingly because he had the manners, he had the respect, he showed up on time. That went a long way. But, with Kyle, he had a detailing business, and I would say he more or less, and I think he would agree, he was more or less doing washes. And so when he came to me is when the correction part of his, skill set really jumped, and it jumped fast. He learned quick because he was familiar with boats. So his experience was more of like washing. Now Mike comes from like the automotive side, wanted to get into boats. So he's got some experience washing and, doing the automotive side, but now we're transitioning to the boat side. And he's going to be a great employee for me because he can do either, which we do. We do cars. We don't advertise.
I was just about to ask you that. Yeah. Well, you don't even advertise on social media.
No, I don't.
Sorry. Another shot. Sure.
It is what it is. I deserve it, honestly. But yeah, we don't, and I don't advertise that I do it, but like, you have a customer that has a boat. I mean, if it's a decent sized boat, guys in boating, they take care of their stuff. And if they're taking care of their boats, they're going to take care of their cars. They're in their cars more than they are in their boats. And so I just do those customers that, they're like, hey, do you do cars as well? Absolutely. We'll take care of it for you. So
is it generally just you're only doing cars for people that are already, a customer of yours through the marine side, or are these just okay? So you're not generally just doing cars for an individual.
I think there might have been maybe 2 cars ever that I've just done their cars and not had already done their boat.
Okay, so it's a rarity on that.
Absolutely. Yep.
So for as long, and how long have you been detailing now? I don't know if we covered that.
Shoot, man. Cole would answer this better. Cole always throws it in my face. He's like, man, you've been doing this for what, 6 years now? And I'm like, I don't think it's been that long, Cole, but I think it has now. So Cole knows better than me on that because he always throws it up there. He's like, dude, it's been a long time. And I was like, I guess it has been a long time, man. It just doesn't seem like it,
Mm-hmm. So out of all the times that you've been doing that, what would you say has been the biggest challenge for you as a business owner and a marine detailer?
I guess my biggest challenge is running a business that, you have happy employees, you have happy people that you work with every day as far as your vendors. So, working alongside these other businesses. Mm-hmm. And man, I think it's, the biggest thing for me at the end of the day, this is work and it's a passion, but I want to be a good dad. I want to be present at home and stuff like that. So it's really, really, really hard for me to not bring work home. And my wife will get on to me about it sometimes. And I know I do a bad job sometimes, answering the phone or being on the phone. I think the juggling.
I'm just as guilty with that.
Yeah. It's so hard, man. Cause that's how you provide for your family. That's how I provide for our girls and all that. And that's the hardest part to juggle is what's the happy medium there. And I really don't think there is. You just got to do the best you can do every day and hope that's good enough for everybody.
So,
but be present, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And, I kind of want to touch on what you said too, like right at the beginning of running a successful business. And I think a lot of the guys and gals out there don't truthfully understand that there's a lot more to, the marine detailing business as a whole than just doing the job. Like you have to be able to market yourself. You have to be able to, manage people, especially if you're able to grow, right? You have employees to expand. The other thing too, I think is what's overlooked is not selling yourself. Like I truthfully believe that, everyone out there that's listening, that's trying to grow your marine detailing business, if that's essentially what you want to do, you need to take a business class. You know what?
Absolutely.
You need to take some sales training. Like there's a lot of that comes into the psychological side of sales to be able to sell yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
And here's a hot button for you, right? You ready?
I'm ready.
Make sure you have insurance. What's going on out there? Can you talk to me about that?
No, I can't. I have no idea. I mean, it comes back to what we talked about with the training class. Just because you go to the start class doesn't make you a detailer. That gives you the tools to be a detailer. It's your job to go get the experience and get the mindset and the skill set to be good. You guys are doing, probably more than, as far as like, breaking down the pie of like how much you guys are doing for detailers, you're making it very easy to be a good detailer. But people are lacking on the backside of that. They don't have, LLCs. They're doing stuff, as far as no insurance, and it's not worth it.
They're just asking for trouble.
It's not worth it, man. And if if you have a family, if you care about your future as far as something happening and you don't have insurance, or you care about your business, you're going to have that stuff. You have to have that stuff to protect yourself, because you got to protect your home life as well as your business.
Okay. I couldn't agree more, but I'm going to have to put you on the spot, right? Because I talked about sales. Are you ready for this one? So, yes, I'm a customer. I'm coming in, right? And I got a newer boat in this sense, right? And I ask you about ceramic coating. How are you going to convince me as a boat owner that ceramic coating is the right decision for me?
Man, to me, it's a no-brainer. And the reason for that, and the reason I say it's a no-brainer, not that, Hyperhold Pro is not great and there's a time and place for, everything, but if a customer can come to me and I can provide them a service that lasts them a year, or we get maybe more than that, get some bonus time out of it, it's, to me, their time is money, like our time is money. Whether, if they're wasting their time detailing their boat, after they go back from or come back from a trip, and, their kids and stuff, they're playing in the pool back at the house, or they're missing family time because their boat's so dirty because it's not taken care of properly. Their time is money. They lost out on that time. So if they can spend a little bit more money with us right now, let's take care of this once a year. And I'll see you again next year. If you need help in between then, let me know. We do that as well. But really, man, it's efficient. It's being efficient. And I think it's the most efficient way to take care of the toys because at the end of the day, these are all toys. Very few people out there in the grand scheme of things use these for a living. And most people that do, they take care of themselves. They do a pretty good job, but these are toys for most people, I would say, especially my customer base. And the amount of money they're spending on these investments, if you will, they got to take care of them, because that's what's going to retain their value.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. I think the other thing that gets overlooked too, that us as detailers forget to share to the customers when we're trying to, really get that customer to bite on a ceramic coating, is you only have so much gel coat.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And, there's still a lot of people that are on that old science of that good old buff and wax every single year, and, and running that wheel on their surface. And what they don't realize, or maybe they do, you're removing gel coat every single time you do that. And, for boat owners that are out there, listen, I'm telling you, that's an old school way of things. Don't do that. Like, the best thing for you to do is reach out to, a professional detailer within your area and get that boat ceramic coated. You will not regret it. Yes, it'll hurt right at the beginning. That
it will.
It costs a little bit more, but for good reason, right? Just like you said, with time, it's going to take them half the time to clean the boat, right? It's going to look better, and time has told and showed that ceramic coatings are the best form of protection for gel coat porous. Please don't put polyglow out there on your boats, or now I think they're putting, what's this wipe on clear coat. And I think I've also overheard there's people that are putting a concrete sealer on boats now.
I got a guy in my area. He lives, if it's the same one you're talking about on a skiff, he actually lives in my area. He's close to me.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally. I do follow him on Instagram, and I follow, he'll post, I don't know when the last one was, but he posted 6 months in and it's still beaten up, and all that stuff, which, I haven't seen it. I don't know, but yeah, I think that guy lives in my area.
Yeah. So, obviously there's probably different ways of doing that, right? But what has been a common denominator besides ceramic coating a boat, at the end, when whatever that application was that was applied is now a nightmare to correct in the end, because essentially you still are putting it over gel coat. It's still,
absolutely,
it's going to deteriorate. It's going to oxidize regardless of what you put on top of it. And then when it comes to that time, I think when Polygo first came out, everybody was like, wow, man, look at this. I don't have to sand and buff my boat.
Right.
I literally just, wash it on, and, and now it's nice and glossy. But, sometimes, or not sometimes, we just overlook what it's going to be to correct it afterwards. And like you said, in your case, not being experienced 2.5 days, but never mind those that are out there listening that are boat owners that don't have the marine experience that you do as a detailer. How long would it take them to get that done?
And what would they
just,
mess up in the process?
my God, right?
Dude,
I mean,
nothing on these things is cheap. That's just the facts of it.
I mean, we all know what boat stands for, right? So
Absolutely.
it's just craziness that's out there. But yeah, so, and 2 layers, people, like, make sure you put 2 layers.
Please.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, low UV areas, you can get away with 1. Underside of that T-top that you're underneath, it'll probably be all right.
It looks pretty good. We haven't touched it yet, so it's in for a recoat this year or right now. So we did it we did it a year ago.
So you spoke on that. So what's your maintenance look like on a ceramic coated boat? So after, you go through and you get it coated up for the customer, one, I'm assuming that you educate them, right? So
absolutely.
What do you say to the customer after the job is done, right? What's your education that you deliver? Yeah. And then what is your 1 year, I'm assuming 1 year is the maintenance. What's that look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, this boat, for example, 39 Contender, it's actually kept indoors most of the year. He fishes hard though. He takes a couple keys trips. Overall, owner really cares about the boat. I mean, he does. And so for me, it was easy, a year ago when he actually bought the boat a year ago. And so when he bought the boat, it was an easy sell on the ceramic to maintain this thing, especially with the Emerald. It made a huge difference. And, with him is, here's the soap. This is what we're going to use. These are the materials we're going to use. And I actually have him on a wash program too. And not every customer gets on a wash program, but, with this one, and we didn't wash it every month this year, but I'd say we washed it 4 or 5 times. And that was enough for me to keep eyes on it. And, with that is, this boat really, we're going to triple P and recoat, to be honest with you.
So, do you like for instance, on the education side, are you asking questions? Because I think that's another thing that's, missed. So us as detailers, we'll sit there, we'll get the job done, right? We'll deliver amazing results, but we won't ask those questions to the customer. Hey, how are you washing your boat? What are you using? Like, you'd be surprised of how many people out there are using a white bristle brush on the side of a hull, just to wash it.
Yeah. I take note of that. Typically, like when you get on the boat, you'll see what they're using because they have it, in rod storage or something like that. And if they do have only a yellow bristle brush or a white, I definitely say something to them. Blue bristle.
And what's your recommendation?
I don't think you should use a brush at all. Let's try to get away from the brushes. Mitts only. That helps generally.
Or the doodle bug. Have you seen the doodle bug?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So, and I agree with you. I think, especially on the smooth, right? Anywhere with high gloss or painted hulls, I think even getting away from the blue soft bristle brush we need to get away from that as, professionals where we're really, trying to go to that next level, whether it's a all microfiber wash mitt, but we sell yacht stick too. So I don't know if you're familiar with yacht stick. They're, the Louis Vuitton of boat brushes or boat sticks,
absolutely,
should I say, but they just now recently came out with like a microfiber head on it. So instead of running, wash mitt, which, a boat is generally a pretty big substrate that really reduces that scratching. And then another one I can really recommend too is Fiber makes one that's called Mitt on the Stick.
That's what we have. We have Mitt on the Stick. Yep.
Yeah.
They're great. And even on this boat, the couple of times that we did wash it, it was fresh after a fishing trip. It'd been a couple of days or something like that, and we did use blue bristles on some smooth areas. Mm-hmm. And like looking at them now, it's nothing that a step of triple P is not taking right out. So like we didn't overdo it with brushes, but like the triple P is smoking it, and it's not very aggressive, but it's enough to. I just think that goes to show you how the maintenance the customer took plus what we provided. Yeah, it was a good year, and his bill's way less this year than it was last year.
Yeah, and I think that's what's again overlooked. Like if you educate your customer on how to properly maintain that vessel after you deliver the job, like it's going to make your work look that much better. It's going to last longer. right? So they're going to be satisfied with that work than versus, bad mouthing you. I'll kind of use an example in the automotive industry. Like people will go and pay a professional detailer to ceramic coat their car, but then they just go down the road to the swirl master, right?
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And then, they'll come back a few months later and go, hey, Mr. Detailer, like my ceramic coating's not working. I wonder why. You're literally driving through a tunnel of sandpaper. What do you expect? So, but that falls on us as detailers and that are selling the job. We have to educate that customer. That way, it's going to alleviate a lot of those issues.
And it comes down to, this back on your ceramic kick, right? On sales. Even if this customer, you can educate all you want, doesn't mean they're going to apply it. And I believe that they're still going to stick to their certain ways and do certain things. But that's also the buffer period that ceramic gives you.
Mm-hmm.
If this boat's waxed and they're washing it like that, your 3 or 4 month wax might last a month or two, and then you're really in an issue because they think it's still there, but the boat's out there unprotected, fishing offshore, however many days a year. Well, they do it every 6 months, and it might not compound in that first 6 months, but if they do another wash and wax in 6 months and then another wash and wax in 6 months, it might take a few years to compound. But when it compounds and the damage has been done, then they get a detail bill and they're like, dang, man, like that's a lot of money. Preventative is always cheaper. It's if you do the due diligence to take care of your stuff and do it the proper way, it's going to save you money in the long run. So, man, that's what I try to preach. This customer is, even this year, he's like, man, it's still a lot of money. I said, I understand it's a lot of money, and it is, but his detail bill is probably 25% of what it was annually last year.
Yeah.
So we save you a lot of money.
Yeah. So when you're doing that maintenance, you're doing that triple P where you're just really kind of jamming it up a little bit. Are you coming back with only one layer then, since it was, 2 layered last year?
I'm doubling it again, man, just to be,
okay.
I would say you could probably 1 layer, but we're going to double it again. So, and it's not like I'm doing a layer for free. I'm still charging the customer. So yeah, it probably could be a little bit cheaper, but I'm going to double layer again. And it still has properties. I just spraying it off, the ceramics, it's still in decent shape, I would say. But again, this is an annual thing. Let's make sure it lasts that year, and let's give it the best opportunity to do that. And I think if we double coat again, I'm going to sleep tonight knowing that, hey, this boat, I'll see it again next December, and we're going to be just fine, be in the same situation again.
Have you ever had like a customer that was on the fence with ceramic coating and ended up going with a polymer, but, just ceramic coat like a small area on their boat? That way they could see the difference?
No, I have. But I have a customer right now that I think I'm going to do that too.
Yeah. I know I've shared that guy with a lot of people. And it's funny. You want to put it in an area that they're going to see the difference when they're washing their boat. Like you know as well as I do, and those out there that know, like you could do that little tape box and you're going to get that hydrophobicity from the ceramic right there. And it's going to far outlast any polymer sealant that's out there, or colonite, or whatever type of form of protection that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Like just do a little 1x1 area, right?
Dude,
just right there, and let them just.
I know. And, I had a good buddy. I did his boat probably 2 weeks ago now. And it was a 27-foot Blackwood, twin boat, a hybrid bay boat. And it was black on, the hardtop, black hull. And I would say he had that boat for probably 18 months. I did it twice. And I think he spent more money on having that boat corrected and waxed than he would have if we were ceramic from day one. In the end, he cost himself money, in my opinion. I know I'd have been cheaper than what I ended up, charging him in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yes, ceramic is expensive, but if you break down relative costs and the cost it takes to maintain your vessel annually, the first year you're probably going to lose, but you're going to win from there as long as you take care of it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Totally couldn't agree more. So, with that, Mr. Silent Assassin, I know you do have social media accounts out there, your business. How do people out there find you, if they're looking for advice, or, they're looking for a detailer?
Yeah. So Next Level Boatworks on social media. Like I said, out of Ormond Beach. But I mean, get on there. It's not like I don't check it. If I get a message on there, I'll still message back. I just don't post. And
So
so
you only ignore my messages. Is that what it is?
yeah, I just open them and leave those unread. No. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's not like I just abandon those accounts. They're there. If you message me on there, I'll gladly give you my number. If you have questions, call me. Let's figure something out. Whatever you're running through. I mean, I owe it. I wouldn't be where I am today without, the guys that I lean on. And so if I could do that for somebody else, that's ideally what the industry should do. And I'll be glad to do that.
Yeah. And so, with that, Drew, man, I really appreciate you, joining us here on the Detailers Doc. Hopefully, I look forward to having you on again. I think you and I have already kind of planned the next episode. We got to have Mr. Holbrook on first,
Yes, sir.
which is in the mix. Unfortunately, he's there busting his butt on a big old 40 right now and can't be on, but we're going to have him on, and then we're going to have the trifecta on there at once. And let's see if we can put some great minds together and continue to grow this industry.
Absolutely. That's the key, and that's the goal.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you next time.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
See ya.